Hi, everybody. This is Jason.
This is Pete.
And this is the Lost Legions podcast. And what are we doing today, Pete?
We are talking about our general experiences in games played recently and some key takeaways, right?
Yeah.
Battlefield data, essentially, is what we are going to be talking about.
100%. Actually, that might be a good name for this video is Battlefield data.
Yeah.
So I was talking to Pete. We wanted to talk a little bit about terrain. I think Pete more wanted to talk about terrain, and I wanted to talk about kind of the experiences that I gleaned from our last game yesterday.
Yeah.
And I had a lot of takeaways. Why don't I start, and then we can jump into the terrain stuff afterwards. So one thing that I found was statuses are really important. They also, if you kind of plan for them, did not seem to be as overwhelming as I thought they were too. Because like if you have the Nuncio box, you get to roll again. So you roll originally when the status gets put on you. And then you roll, if you fail that, you get to roll again at the start of your turn. So if you have a Nuncio box.
Yeah, you get to, at the end of the control and player shooting phase, you then have the status phase, which is where you test to see if you take the status, don't you? And then you're saying the Nuncio box is when you first have your attempt to recover from the status, right?
Yeah. So that was huge. So in a lot of the troop units, it was really, really good. But what happened was I was playing Space Wolves. And I'll get to that in a second too, because I want to talk about that as well. So I was playing Space Wolves because Pete has a very 3.0 army, and I really have found that I think that tanks are necessary to avoid statuses, right? Because a lot of things are coming down to put statuses on you. So I was like, well, what am I going to play? I have all these 2.0 armies. My Space Wolves are primarily a 1.0 army, and I have all the transports, all the tanks, all the everything. Like for them, because I played them in 1.0. They were a Crusade army list before they were actually Space Wolves. So they were just generic tank and smank Space Marines. So it's like, oh, I'll play the Space Wolves. Plus, it'd be fun to kind of see how they play. So I took a 10-man command squad. And I did this on purpose because I also wanted to see they don't have Vanguard. And I want to see how important that was. Spoilers, I think Vanguard's actually more important than I thought it was. Units, at least... The points that you spend, it's not Vanguard per se is important. It's that the points that you spend are finite. And if you're going to take a big Achilles squad and they don't have Vanguard, those points would probably be spent on Achilles squad with Vanguard. And that's because scoring is so crazy. Sorry, I'm getting off topic.
No, you're good.
We'll handle each thing one at a time. But what happened was Pete drove up to me with a rhino.
Hell yeah.
Flamed this command squad, 10 Tartarus Terminators.
With a Praetor.
And a Praetor. Killed absolutely nobody. I had a Panic token. A Panic 2, was it Panic 1?
Panic
right?
1.
I think it was
just a Pintle Heavy Flamer. Yeah.
Panic 1. Rolled an 11. They ran away. And I'm like, great. But that really changed the flow of the battle. In a 4-turn game, the fact that one turn, they're gone. Plus, they were already running across the table because he had killed my Spartan. It just completely took them out. Well, it almost took them out of the battle. Then turn,
you had no. Just to chuck in, you had no ability to recover at the beginning of your turn because there's no Nuncio Vox option on any of the command squads. I think is what we found, especially the Terminator ones for sure. Right?
No. None, as far as I can tell, none of the elite units have a Nuncio Vox option. If they do, put it in the comments because that unit is gold. So again, if I had been able to recover at the beginning of the turn, I could have just charged his tank and nothing would have mattered. But instead, I fell back. And then on my turn, when I go to rally, I roll... what was it? I rolled again. I roll like an 11 or something. And
no, I think you rallied.
Oh, I think
you rallied, and I just drove forward and flamed you again.
Oh, this is it. Yeah, you rallied.
My little rhino just pushed this command squad all the way back up your table edge. Yeah,
and I rolled a 10 this time.
Yeah,
and then but I needed a 9 because of Panic 1. Yeah, and then they were just out of the game. And like, so for 2 turns, they're out of the game by a rhino. And like, again, I know I rolled poorly, but even the fact that it happened once was enormous in a 4-turn game, right? Again, because we're trying to play the games as they're intended and not do too many special rules. We'll talk a little bit about this when we get to terrain. And that was just huge.
There's not really any ways to get around it, is there? There's no. There's no higher leadership model you can take in a generic list, I think, for the legions anyway. Of a Praetor, I know like some of the Primarchs and stuff will have high leaderships and whatnot, but you still, even if you had leadership 14, you roll a double 6, you fail, right? So the double 6 is always a fail. So there's always a chance you could fail regardless. We did the maths on it, didn't we? We actually chucked into a calculator, and it was like 87% chance that you make rolling a 9 on 2d6 or under. 87% chance of successfully doing it. So the fact that you failed it twice was super unfortunate. It's a dice game, right? Ultimately, but the point you're getting at is, it's just dice. But in 4 turns, having that many points in one unit wrapped up that can't recover at the beginning of your player turn, and also hasn't got line or vanguard, actually makes it a not very 3.0 friendly unit. Is that fair to say?
So this is, I guess what Pete's getting at is sort of like what we had discussed in discussion. I'm like, is the Death Star dead? Or at least the elite Death Star, because you have so many points wrapped up that can get affected by pinning. It can get affected by like panic. There are so many ways to shut this thing down that are not killing it. And used to be, the only way to shut them down was to kill them. So the bigger and the better and the tougher they were, the harder they were to stop. But now that's not the case. So, and you can't take a Nuncio Fox to throw it off the next turn.
Yeah.
So is the Death Star dead? I guess is the real question. Like,
I think a lot of it depends on the missions. So this mission we played, I think it's the Crucible of War. I think is what's what it's called. It's the second mission. There's 4 objectives. They're worth 2 victory points each. You know, that's quite a lot of objectives. The third mission, I think there's just 2 objectives, if I'm remembering this correctly, but they decrease in value each time you score them. So actually having Vanguard or having line becomes less important in games where you can physically score less, right? Compared to 4 or 5 objectives everywhere. You've got the new mission, I say new mission, the mission that came out in the Tactical Journal book, whatever it's called, the little expansion, the Drop Site Massacre one. And that one's got kill points for one player and some objectives for the other player, for the attacker defender. So if we see the missions changing a bit and being maybe based on different ways, then I think, on a kill points mission, hell yeah, you do want 10 Terminators running around, right? But yeah,
I mean,
it's interesting.
But what I'm talking about is, do you want 10 elite Terminators that cost a lot, or do you just want 10 Terminators running around? So I feel much different about 10 bog standard Legion Terminators running around, because they're a lot cheaper than, it's the investment in points that basically gets locked up and it does nothing. So
I think you want 2 squads of 5 is actually the way to play, really. So when we say play, when I go on the way to play, look, play it however the hell you want, right? First of all, 100%. It's a cinematic game. Yeah, a unit of 10 Terminators marching on the field looks great. If you want to play to be a bit more competitive, not without being gamey, then you want more units. And I think that was one of the big takeaways between my army and your army, is that I just have a ton of units, right?
Well, my point, my thing was, I would have rather had 2 Land Raiders with 2 5-man squads or 6-man squads
than the Spartan,
than a Spartan with a bus of 10. Because again, like, if what's going to happen is, if you flame one of those guys, that is not great, and I get that unlucky. That's not great, but I have the other one, which is still up there doing the things. And so, like, I guess that's what I mean by, is it the death of Death Stars, like of uber mega Death Stars? I still think there always will be a place for big, crunchy, herdy units. But like before, I think the logic was put all of the hate you can in one basket and then drive forward and conquer. And I don't think that works as well anymore because they can get side busted by other things rather than being killed.
No, I agree. And I agree with what you're saying. I think the mission plays a huge part onto it. If we were playing the first mission in the book, which is where there's a central objective worth 3, and I think there's 4 others worth 1 point each. Well, yeah, that's not. Again, we're now looking at a situation where that's not so bad. You can then afford to throw that big killer unit just at the central objective and be like, I'm gonna just chuck it in and mosh pit in there, right?
I'm gonna agree with you and disagree with you at the same time.
It'd be great because to have Vanguard as well, because he still gets points. But
no, it'd be great to wipe them off with Vanguard. But let's say it's the same 2 command squads, each in a Land Raider. Well, you can again only tactical status objective 1 probably, depending on things are up. Like it's just harder to get 2 different units.
Yeah.
So again, I feel like 2 units still might be better, like just tactically, than 1 big one. But I do think you're right. Like it does matter more. You're going to feel it worse objective.
On certain missions, is what I think we can allude to. Yeah.
The sky is not falling. So let's just be clear about this. But what's happening is the tactics are shifting. And I also think that it's making troops way more viable. And it's also making those medium units more viable, like the ones that are not quite the best ones ever, but they're a lot cheaper, but they can really kill the troop squads. Like those, I think, are going to be really, really good. Say, like, let's say the veteran breachers or something like that. Like things that anything that's more cheap than like 30 points a model, that's more like around 20 points a model, and has weapon skill 5, especially if it has Vanguard or line, is going to be really good. So I actually am leaning towards the Terminator level, but not the Legion Terminator level.
Yeah, you want something that can kick and scream a bit, but not necessarily be a absolute out and out brawler. Is the way it needs to be. The way that statuses work though, and close combat. So statuses, they didn't really do, other than your super unlucky part with the flamethrower, they didn't really have an effect over the whole course of the game. Other than that, there was never a point where one of us couldn't score or whatever. It was the close combat is where it made the biggest difference.
Well, actually, no, there was. I put statuses on 2 of your units that were scoring, and then you recovered at the top of your turn.
That's what I mean, though. Because it's easy to recover. That's what I'm alluding to, right? They didn't actually have that much of an in-game effect. But
this goes in the same conversation because they were normal troops that could take nuncio boxes. You could recover at the beginning of your turn.
Yeah.
So you weren't affected by the fact that you had that. Yeah. But go back to the elite units who can't take nuncio boxes. Well, they can't recover at the top of their turn. So like it makes people the bog standard guys who can get the leadership bonuses from this a lot better. And like this, it just makes it so much more interesting. There's so many more things to think about, I guess, when you look at a unit and when you look at your list.
Yeah, you really need a Nuncio Vox on. If your unit has an option to take a Nuncio Vox, it should be the first thing you take before you pick up even a gun. And if the unit doesn't have a Nuncio Vox as an option, you really need to think about, all right, what am I doing to rally? Because you're going to get hit by a panic 3 weapon or a suppress 2 weapon or whatever. It's going to happen. It's going to, even if you've got a leadership 10 or cool 9 model or whatever, it's a bit dicey if you're going to make it or not.
I think if you're maneuverable and fast enough, it's less of an issue, because like I had less of an issue with jump troops. But like, the Terminators are slow enough where anything like a Rhino can just run up to them with a flamer. Like it's hard for them to get places. So like, I think bikes and things like jump troops are going to be a lot better in this same case without that, because they can kind of avoid stuff more or get into combat faster.
Yeah.
Because when they're in combat, they're safe. So
yeah, and this is the other thing, right? With close combat is you don't need to. With statuses, you don't need to be, and going back to your point of, you don't need to be super killy. You need to be a little bit punchy, but not crazy punchy, because as long as you can put a status effect on your opponent, you're swinging first. And swinging first matters a lot more than how well you swing, I think, in a lot of cases here. And we saw that, didn't we, with, I think, was it my despoilers and your despoilers? On your was it the Grey Slayers, whatever they're called?
Yeah, there were the Grey Slayers. So
yeah,
you charged the Grey
spoiler
Slayer
squad with the Grey Slayers. They took a panic check, failed, initiative 1. Challenge with the Herald and all that sort of that, it all went off, but I don't, you didn't remove a model because you didn't get time to swing against my unit swinging you. So having like even just a 1 command model in a despoiler squad is enough to then make it quite punchy against, again, medium-ish level opponents. So to summarize, I know we've been here and everywhere with that, but yeah, the status effects obviously make a big difference. We could see that clearly by just reading the rules and looking at all the teasers that came out before the drop, but actually playing a few games now, you start to see it a bit more. Touching on terrain real quick.
Yep.
Me and Jay spent an hour before the game, stood at the table trying to decide how we were going to play terrain. So terrain is in a bit of a shit position, isn't it, really, in terms of how it's written?
I was going to say spoilers to let Pete finish out this thought, but like the actual terrain we thought was going to be good is not good at all. Medium terrain is not fun to play with. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, it's the whole 3 inches in, 3 inches out thing is too finicky. It'll lead to arguments because this guy can see 3 inches out through that bit, but is that just about 3 inches out there? And then you shoot from a different angle, and you can't return fire half the time, and it gets a bit silly because you can kill what you can't see, but you can't shoot if you're more than 3 inches. So you can't return fire as well, but you can be killed around corners, and also it doesn't feel right.
Yeah, like somebody will be like to the side of you and completely in view.
Yeah.
Of your models, but because you're shooting sideways or at an angle, there's more than 3 inches of the lip of the terrain there. Technically, those guys can't shoot out, so they shoot at you, and only 2 of your models, like whatever, or can legally, or 3 can return fire, and it just feels bad.
So I think, given the fact that the game and the tables have always been built to feel very thematic and lots of terrain, we should keep going that way as a community. This isn't me planting a flag and going, this is how we'll do it. This is just our like hour-long coming together conversation we had. You need more line of sight blocking terrain. You just need bigger terrain, because that's what they've tried to do by introducing this whole 3 inches in, 3 inches out. They've tried to make area terrain block line of sight, which I like the idea behind having more line of sight blocking, but you just need to have more physical terrain for it to work well. And then you just need to remove this whole light, medium, and heavy, as you just said before we jumped on, Jay. It should just be area terrain. It has 3 different scoring. You've got light 6 up, medium 5 up, heavy 4 up, and that's it.
With the light rules,
and with true line of sight. So you don't, So the light rule. So it's just true line of sight with area cover save. It's basically what it is.
I think that's how people are going to play it, because
it's
the
simplest,
light.
Isn't it?
What I've seen people do in test games is just be like, after they've played with the medium terrain, they've been like, let's just call everything light. But that just means everything's a 6-up cover save.
Which is then really not very good for the way the board looks and stuff, yeah. But what I think people want is they just want an easy cover mechanic where they don't have to worry about it, where their guys can go and cover. And I think, like, generally we found, at least me, I'm speaking for all of us together collectively, 4 up is a bit much. 5 seems to be perfect. 6 is a little not great. So, like, I think most of the cover should be 5 up. And then most of the ruins and things like that. And then, you can have a special piece of terrain that's 4 up cover. But the actual rules are so fiddly that they have for line of sight blocking. I think Pete's right. You need actually just more physical line of sight blocking terrain, use true line of sight, and just use the light cover rules for everything, and just assign pieces higher cover saves. And I think that's the easiest way to deal with what they've done. Yeah, and if you're not in area terrain and you're being shot by something, and let's say there's a bit of a wall in the way, or there's a bit of a rock in the way, or let's say a line of sight blocking piece of terrain partially obscures your opponent, then just have a 6-up save for partially obscured cover or something, right? Just make it super simple.
Now but now you're adding new rules, but I don't disagree with what you're saying.
But it's not hard, is it? If you're in area terrain, you get the cover save of what the area terrain is. It's either 6 up, 5 up, 4 up. And if you are partially obscured by anything, just give a 6 up. So you've still got. It's never feels bad if someone makes a 6 up. It's something that you can have as a throwaway. You're going to be getting 6 ups here, there, and everywhere that way. That's my little personal idea.
I thematically agree with you. I'm totally happy to play it that way. I'm just saying that I think the easiest way for the community to deal with it is just treat everything as light cover and increase the cover save on different terrains. Done.
Correct. Yeah.
Right. Like that's the easiest without getting like this or that or changing too many things around. I think that's the easiest way to deal with it. Yeah. Like hands down.
The worst thing they've changed. Sorry, but the worst thing they've changed is removing. Terrain always gives you a cover save because they've made it an area terrain only gives you a cover save. So now it's like, well, hang on, you're 20% obscured by some rocks, but you're not in the rocks, so you don't get the cover save because I can see you. So that's why I'm saying, like, just have a 6.
I can tell
really.
I can tell it bothers you, but I'm gonna push back on that just a little. Like, I think that's while all of this is basically house ruling. I think that's adding back in old rules. Well, if you just do light cover terrain and then modify the actual cover save on the pieces, depending on what you think is right, you're still using the rules that are in the game. So, but yes, I think what Pete and I can agree on is that the cover rules need help.
The draw distance in particular is trash.
Yeah, they don't play. I mean, I even suggested we play with a 5-inch draw distance, and we tried that once, and it was better, but it was still awkward because we found yourself in situations where there's a piece of open area terrain, right? Because it's just the base that you can clearly see people through, and technically it's blocked. Yeah. And there's nothing there. It's just the lip of the base is more than 5 inches, like across where you're looking. And it feels weird. It is abstract. So there are issues with the way that their terrain works. I think maybe it would work with plastic GW terrain a lot better, where it's like, you're at the side of the building. There is no basing.
It's funny that the different things that wind us up. So that bit doesn't really bother me that much. But I know it really winds you up. But yeah,
and the cover thing, the shooting past cover thing winds you up. It doesn't wind me up.
Because if you see one guy of the unit, you can kill them all, isn't it? So now
this is a whole different conversation.
It's already running a bit long, but yeah. So we'll come back to that at some point.
One last thing before we run away, I want to say this because I promised I would say it. The Space Wolf setup move thing is amazingly good.
Especially out on Land Raiders, right?
Yeah, I did not appreciate it when I saw it, but like that 5-inch setup move was just like, hello. Like Pete at no point could get away from me. I was always like close enough to just get in with setup move. So it was like it makes them feel a lot more there and present when they're charging. So Smith's players rejoice, everyone else be sad.
Yeah, pretty much.
The +2 setup move, while it sounds super lackluster, was really good. Yeah. All right, I think that's all I needed to get off my chest.
It's a little post game ramble.
Yeah,
perfect.
So some thoughts, some Battlefield data to you. Let us know your top things in the comments. If there's anything that we've missed or things that you guys have experienced that really have changed your perception of 3.0. It's definitely a different game. I was just in awe after our game yesterday because so many things had changed and I had so many thoughts, and I went back and read the rule book that night and was just like, every unit had flipped. I was like, P, we need to do top 5. We need to change the legions. We need to change everything. We need to do everything again. So yeah, I had an epiphany. What about you, Pete?
Yeah, I mean, there are things which have changed for sure. The setup move, as you mentioned, was like, oh, that actually can make a big difference. So my favorite change is probably statuses, but then I really liked bolt action for that like kind of similar mechanics. So I like not just necessarily killing everything and making things useless instead. So that was fun. The game I'm really enjoying it. Really enjoying it. I'm not. I know we nearly rounded this one out, but one more point because this is just the ramble episode. The scoring might be a bit interesting. So I've had it in 2 or 3 games now where we've basically called it turn 3 because there's no way the opponent can claw back enough points to get back in the game. Now I know there's this whole, if you're losing by more than double, you can use the special mission rule to then double the points scored in the last turn. But I've not seen that come into play once yet. So I was 36 points to Jay's 24. And it was he could only score 8 maximum in his turn 4, and then I had my whole turn 4 afterwards. So it was always buggered. So
like mathematically, I could not score. But I think in the beginning, I was ahead of you. Was the other thing, right? And then you pulled ahead. I think turn 2. I think you matched me, and then you started.
I like how line works, but it can very quickly wrap up and stack up. And run away, which is in a 4 turn. I really want to be playing to the wire on the 4 turns. Really, I want there to be a chance that either side can pull back on the fourth turn. So.
Yeah, and I think this is why I think Vanguard and Line are so important is because of the way scoring works. Yeah. And this changes. This goes back to like the Death Star thing and things getting knocked out and not being useful because it's not about killing necessarily now. It's about scoring. And like the game itself has fundamentally changed. Spoilers. It was an enormous change. I
feel like you should have kill points alongside with line. I don't know how that would feel. That might be a cool mix, like to give you some way of still getting something. Sorry, I say just as line. I mean, rather than just standard objectives. I know you've got the secondaries, but the secondaries really you're gonna get first strike pretty much. I don't think I've played a game yet where both players haven't scored first strike, so that's kind of a moot point. Slayer Warlord. Yeah, maybe one side gets it over the other, but it's only 2 points or 3 points usually. Giant Killer or whatever it's called, well, that's super situational if someone's got a Lord of War or whatever. And the other one's Last Man Standing, so that one again kind of that one's more swingy for sure. That one can only be scored by one player, right? Unless you draw. So what I'm trying to get at is a lot of those secondaries are either not that commonly found or are scored by both players, so kind of are a mute point. So maybe having some sort of kill points would be a good way to offset against loads of units.
They also don't score that much. Like, so compared to like what a line unit on a 3-point objective is scoring, line 2 on a 3-point objective is scoring you 5 points. Right? Like, and that happens for 3 turns. That's 15 points, right? Like it like you said, it quickly runs away with itself. I mean, maybe we also try doing some lower objective scoring, and then maybe lines not as crazy, because I think sometimes it's the multiples that seem to just go insane. Yeah. So scoring, I mean, it's I don't see it as broken yet, but I definitely have raised my eyebrow at it and been like, I need to watch this and pay more attention to what's going on here, and see how much that this actually affects stuff over the game. I've had a lot of fun games, but also I think things are so different that I've still just been in a is this good? Like the little butterfly meme. Like I'm like, do I love this? Like I'm not sure I love it, but I am really having a good time. Like, and I'm really fascinated by everything going on. So I like it. Like, and I think I'll grow to love it. I need to get my head completely around it at this point.
I think once we've got a couple more missions, and once like there's maybe like a community of mission pack that comes out and things like that, which will inevitably happen. It'll begin to change. It'll begin to feel a bit more flavorful. Because at the moment is, well, how quickly can I kill your line? and what are the tools that I have to kill your lines. So, having a ton of barrage is super useful, as we found out, because you can just shell the shit out of anything and everything.
That's him, not me.
So Rapier's really good. Spoiler alert. And then so how do you not lose your line units? Well, you need transports. So then you're like, well, so for Rhinos or Land Raiders. So there's a few ways to build the army to maximize the scoring, which is fine, but you want a few different ways to play the game, and at the moment it does feel a little bit like max up on line and max up on transports and just turbo boost and rush into an objective everywhere.
I think we're gonna have to let things settle out and see what comes. Because before in 2.0 it was like, oh, there is your Las Cannon squad and your 2 dreadnoughts. I'm being super generic, but that is, that was a completely viable list that you would see all the time. So now I'm not sure, because everything's so different. Like you said, you're maxing out on line, but I've completely flip-flopped on what I thought was good and what I want to take. And so I'm basically a mad scientist now. The meme of the guy at the board, that's me now. And I just really think that it's interesting. I'm fascinated right now with the game.
Vanguard's good, and I really like the idea of Vanguard. I've yet to use it because I don't have any Vanguard models, and I'm waiting for the new plastic Terminators. So come back to me in 6 years' time.
So I got 12 points off Vanguard in one of my games because I was with the Night Raptors, and they just kept clearing people off objectives.
Yeah. So Vanguard is really good.
Yeah.
I almost feel it would be cool if you just got a point for killing an enemy unit in close combat with Vanguard, and maybe nudge the points down. Maybe it doubles up to 2 points if that opponent was clearing an objective, because then you've just got more ways of using your Vanguard units rather than just, it always has to be on an objective, because you clear an objective once and you get 3 points. That's kind of it, right? You don't score it.
Can you sit on an objective even if you have Vanguard?
I can't remember. It's either you can't score an objective whilst you're scoring Vanguard, or you just can't score an objective at all if you have Vanguard. It's one or the other. I can't remember.
Okay.
But yeah, anyway, right, let's wrap this up. This has gotten on half an hour now, so you lucky souls having lots of audio. This was we'll do a 10-minute preamble before we
a 10-minute. We actually have
recording now.
Yeah, okay. Cool guys. Thank you very much. Take care. Bye.
Taters.